Brad, when do you realize you have to have George sexually?
The first time we consummated our relationship sexually was at the end of the Los Angeles Marathon on March 5th.
Wow.
1986.
Wow. Impressive.
That's not the way I remember it. That's not the
Are you
way I
working on a
remember
book or something? I mean, because that's a tremendous recall. What do you remember, George?
He doesn't remember this.
Well, no, I had a ADR, additional dialogue recording for a Miami Vice that I did. But before that, we were kind of playing around at my townhouse. And we happened to be in the bedroom, and one thing led to another, and we started wrestling, and that was the first time. And so I think that was the best dubbing job I did.
You mean the wrestling, though? It's an odd thing to me that every session of lovemaking begins with wrestling. It's almost
I like to squeeze. I like to feel. I like to
Now I'm getting a little nervous.
That's
Brad,
what they like to do.
Brad, were you like, what's with this fucking guy with the wrestling? I mean, you're probably like, let's make love, not war. I mean,
What's
what is
funny
going on?
I do remember the first time it was in his bed on the third floor of this townhouse, and I remember the springs were squeaking, and I remember it was very noisy, like squeak, squeak, squeak. So.
I remember being on the floor.
Were you doing the same thing?
Yeah, maybe you guys weren't in the same room. Are you sure you're not remembering somebody else?
Maybe that was somebody else.
Was George the first man that you were in love with, Brad, or were there others?
No, because I was George and I are an older couple. I was in my early 30s. George was in his late 40s. So we'd had relationships, breakups, the normal dating life before we found each other.
Were you nervous that George was this big star from Star Trek and everything? Did you say, "Oh my God, look what I'm taking on with this guy"? I mean, you know how.
Well, I mean, I don't mean to be self-serving, but truthfully, he was just that guy from Star Trek to me because I lived in Los Angeles. I worked in the Hollywood area, and he was just another unemployed actor.
Not such a big shot back then. Well, listen, the two of you are amazing. You are the couple of all couples. I feel you are an inspiration, not only to the gay community, but to the community at large.